myself. My name is Chastity Buckley. I'm the host of Midnight R&B Edition, Homage and Midnight Love BET, where I give all my flowers to all my R&B producers, singers, songwriters, and everybody who has changed the game in R&B. And I'm here with an R&B legend, a straight R&B legend, a songwriter, producer, engineer, a composer. I mean, sir, I want to congratulate you because I know you just joined the Grammys, the Academy, the Recording Academy chapter in the DC area. So congratulations on that. I want to give you your props for that
Yeah,
and
thank you.
everything. Yes, yes, yes. The one and only Mr. Davey Boy Lindsey. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to have you on my platform today.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you. I've been following since we connected maybe about a month ago now, and I've been following your work, and you're doing some good stuff. And I hope and I pray that everything just, take off for you. Doing good work.
Oh, thank you. Well, you know, I gotta you can big you up, sir, because you work with so many artists. I mean, like from Tank to the Great Monica to Tracy Braxton. I mean, everything. I mean, you have your own group, Seven Sons of Soul, which is so dope. Now I had to realize I did listen to your work before since I think I was like probably in my early 20s or something, because I know you've been a
Okay.
part of so many motion pictures with Tyler Perry with A Family That Prays and everything. I was like, this man right here is like, you're just everywhere. You're all everywhere in music. So I'm just super, super proud of you.
I'm trying, man. I'm just humbled. I'm just, every day I get up, and take a stab at it every day to try to be better. So
Yeah.
I'm just humble. I'm grateful.
Well, like I said, at the end of the day, is anytime I see somebody on the line of note that's made a contribution in music, I have to give you your props and respect you so much. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
No, no problem. And today, guys, we are here to celebrate the 15th anniversary of Monica's fifth studio album, The Makings of Me. Can you believe it's been 15 years today, Mr. David?
Wow. I mean, time is flying, Time is
Yeah,
flying. I mean, I remember when I first made that record, and as I was telling you when you
yeah.
reached out to me, I
Hmm.
mean, I that record was actually sitting for about almost 2.5 years before it even got
Mm,
in her hands. So
mm, mm, mm,
yeah, yeah.
mm, mm. I
I
mean, I
actually
know.
did it on. I actually did it on a former artist of mine,
Hmm.
who was a rap artist at the time, and
Hmm.
he was actually signed over at Jive Records,
Hmm.
and so I had did it on him, and so it was in my stash, and
Hmm.
I don't know if I'm jumping the gun. I know this was part of your question. I'm jumping the gun
No, you
in
good,
terms
you
of
good, you
how it
good.
got on. I mean, I'm gonna let you do your thing, So
Okay, well,
we'll
look, I know
we'll
you was
get to
gonna.
that.
I know we're gonna
Yeah,
get to that, but I know you was gonna give me a little tidbit. I was like, I'm gonna wait till the viewers join in and everything else. But also, I did want to ask
yeah.
you before we do get started, because I also, before I talk to all my guests, I do a mental check in just to make sure everything's going. Since now we're in pandemic C-19 type era now, and these new decades. How have you been doing since everything is changing in your life?
Man, God is good. I have not been affected by the pandemic financially or anything like that,
It's a
or
blessing.
work wise.
Hmm.
Work has actually picked up for me in the pandemic phase. So I'm
Right.
grateful to God for that. The only thing is I have lost friends to
Oh, I'm
COVID.
sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that hits home. And
Hmm.
I appreciate you asking, about the mental, health and wellness of myself,
Right.
and I appreciate that, because
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of people that's suffering during this time, and suffered a lot of loss. Like I've suffered a lot of loss. I mean, I can't count on two hands how many friends of mine that I lost during
Mm.
COVID. So due
Yeah.
to COVID. So yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's been rough on that part, but work
Hmm.
wise, God has been good, and you know,
Mm.
and so I've been able to work and maintain. Yeah, to
Yeah.
God be the glory.
Yes, to God be the glory. And I'm so happy you said that, because I think one thing I want everybody to learn, I know music is, healing and understanding for everybody in their lifetime, but for people that have done a lot of stuff, I also want to know how y'all are, because I know, when the world stopped, I know it kind of changed all our lives, but not even just that. I just felt like, for my show and my platform, when I talk about music, I want to see how to make sure that the songwriters and producers, because, when you're always talking about music, you're always talking about things that happen in time. So with
Right.
yourself, I always wanted to know to make sure that, hey, just because, I may be going through something, I want to know if you're going through something, you know what I'm saying? Because music
Hmm.
heals, but think about it, you're telling your stories, or, you making these beats to make
Yeah.
sure that it kind of transitions to what we're going through at the time. So I just wanted to make sure, but I'm truly sorry for your losses, because I truly understand myself. Losing my
Yeah.
dad last year, it was tough. So like I said,
Oh, wow.
I've dealt with it, but as long as you got God in your life, you got everything. So like I said, Miss Dave, my
Yeah,
many condolences to you.
that's it. As long as you have God in your life, you can make it through it.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
tough times are going to come. I don't see how you cannot make it without God.
Come on.
Tough times is going to come. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But like they say, trouble don't last always. So
there you go. There you go. There you go.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So before we do get started about your lovely, beautiful career, I need to get to know you as a person, Mr. Dave. So I know you are from the DC, man. You're the home of DC. DC is like
DC.
God, Howard. I mean, y'all got Genuine Tank. It's so many iconic people that have came from DC. And I wanted to ask you, how was it like growing up in DC, and how was like your environment growing up, and what made you fall in love with R&B music, and who are some of your influences that inspire you to go in the R&B realm?
Man, I mean, the music scene here in DC, if as you mentioned, I mean, has always been, a good scene. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
With just, my peers. I mean, I grew up with Tank. I grew up with
Mm.
Maya.
Yep.
Maya and I was on Teen Summit together. A lot of people don't know I was on. Used to be on a show called Teen Summit that used to be on
Yeah.
BET. Yeah. And her and I were on there together. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I grew up with Tank, and of course worked with them. And we actually used to play in the same gospel group back in the day called Victor Johnson and Free.
Mm.
There's some old videos out there of Tank's choir, but a couple of other buddies of mine,
Yeah.
Big Bob, Brandon Broadnax, Chucky, all those my boys. We all played with Victor Johnson and Free. So
Yeah.
um, that was my scene growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly on the gospel scene. On the gospel
Mm.
scene real hard in the DC area. Grew up listening to quartet music and playing in the church.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I got my start, playing the piano, organ in the church, and
Mm-hmm.
so forth. And still do play in the church. I don't think I'm ever gonna leave church, So
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, that's my scene. My influences, how I got into R&B. I mean, I've always listened to. I even playing in church. I've always listened to R&B music, and
Mm.
I've been influenced by the great Quincy Jones, of course, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis.
Mm.
Um, even Pharrell, Timbaland.
Dope.
Those Rodney Jerkins, all those guys are like my influences when it comes to R&B music. Um,
Right.
Listening to Jodeci, Devontae, as a
Yep.
producer. Yeah, those are my influences. Joe, um, yeah. So I even actually did a song on Joe back in the day. It never got released, but there's a couple of songs I did on artists that never got released. Jaheim and
Mm.
Joe. But yeah, those are my influences.
Mm. I love how you said that, and I love how you put in the gospel circuit in your life, because I know a lot of people who I've interviewed, before they say anything about R&B, they always put the foundation is the gospel. And I love how you always, talk about that. I know you said in your journey, you at church, definitely played in so many instruments. So with that being said, like, were you like doing that in school? And also with that, how did you take your time to come into the music industry?
That's a great question. Yeah, so my growing up in church and playing in church led me to get a full scholarship to Bowie State University in music. And then from there is where I met my business partner, who was my manager, still is my manager then, Cliff Jones,
Mm.
while I was in at Bowie. and the rest is history. Met
Mm,
him and Jerry Vines, and they gave me my shot,
hmm.
in the music industry, and
Right.
from there, you know, one of my first artists I worked with was Loon. I don't know if you
Oh,
remember him.
oh, the rapper. Yes,
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
Loan.
yeah.
That's
So
dope.
that's how I got my start in the industry. And then, went to work with Lil Zane,
Hmm.
and a group that was from here that was actually under Tank at the time, called Moet.
Mm,
That was from DC area that Tank was developing at the time. And so,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that's kind of how I got my, start in the music business.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, definitely. I know for sure you said Cliff Jones plays a huge role with you getting your start. I know in the 2000s you kind of worked on a lot of projects. Like you said, you worked in so many record labels like with Zumba. And I remember that time that was a big thing because Usher was breaking through and a lot of other
Yeah.
things. So with that being said, like, did you like start like with being with Loon and all these people in the industry? Did you like start to navigate your way to doing your own thing, or how did Cliff kind of help you then kind of transition to get ready to go into like the mid 2000s? Because I know at the time it was like a big thing going on with Atlanta and everything yourself. How did you transition to make your way to that part?
We still work together. I mean, we still business partners, and we still working together,
Mm-hmm.
working on projects, and and so I still, I kind of navigate and do my thing, as well as a producer,
Yeah.
while he's, doing a lot of stuff on the TV side,
Mm-hmm.
working with Braxton's and developing shows, and also we still developing artists. We got our company, Soul World Entertainment.
Someone. Yep.
Yeah, so we are developing artists right now, and
Mm-hmm.
we're putting in the work, and we got some things cooking.
Oh. Okay. Oh. Wait a minute. So these ones y'all about to bring in some new people, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We
Oh,
about
that's
to.
dope.
Yeah,
That's dope. That's dope.
yeah.
Okay, so now you talking about that. I know you were saying that with your producing and stuff, and you got into the engineer. How did you get on Monica's project, The Makings of Me? Like, how did that come about? Because I know we're kind of getting that round. So, was she like your first break in the industry, or was it really Loon your first break in the industry?
Um, yeah. Well, I would say working with Lone was probably my first break in the industry. She was probably my first. She was definitely my first single. You
Oh
know.
wow.
So how that happened was, I was beginning to say it at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But how that happened was, like I said, I had that track for about almost 2.5 years,
Yeah.
and I actually did it on another artist of mine I was working with, who actually had a record deal with Jive Records, who we got signed over at Jive Records,
Mm.
and
Okay.
I did the record on him, and so Daryl Jones, who is still working for Atlantic Records,
Mm-hmm.
is the VP of Atlantic Records now. Um, we used to meet with him a lot, and so he actually told me to send him, at the time, a CD.
Yeah.
At the time, we didn't. We was doing MP3s and stuff like that, but
Right.
I left
CDs.
him in his office a CD of
Mm.
just all of my beats, my catalog at the time, which
Right.
had that beat on there,
Mm.
and somehow it made it to Missy's desk because he sent it to her,
Mm-hmm.
and so one thing led to another. She calls Daryl up and said, "Yo, one of these tracks or one of these CDs you gave me, I guess from this producer Davey Boy, I did I got Monica's next single
Mm.
for it." So
Mm.
Missy,
Mm.
took the record and
Mm.
went and you know chopped it up. So she wrote to it, chopped it up, and
Mm-hmm.
and um and 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 wrote it on Monica, produced it on
Mm-hmm.
Monica, and and called Daryl up and said, "Yo, the producer that did this beat, I did the track on Monica
That's
and got
dope.
a single for it." So that's how I got on Monica.
Okay. So were you like, did you do that Curtis Mayfield sample? Because you know everybody knows it's the Curtis Mayfield sample. Did you have that, or did Missy added that on with your track?
No, that I had that. Yeah, that was all me. That
Okay.
the whole creation,
Wow.
that whole bop, swing, beat, everything. That was all me. Yeah.
Oh.
So my brother at the time, my brother inspires me a lot too, because he, I couple of brothers that inspire me, but one of my brothers,
Yeah.
uh, uh, you know, uh, actually gave me the idea to sample that record, and so I was like, yeah,
Mm.
I'm gonna try that. So I went in, in my little studio at the time, and cooked the beat up and chopped it up, whatever. And
Mm.
the one line that I use in it, with a dozen roses, that
Mm.
that that line right there just stood out to me. It was just like ringing,
Mm.
because there's so many parts or elements within that record. As a producer, if
Yeah.
you want to chop up and sample, you could, but
Mm-hmm.
it was just that one just stood out to me, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, and so I just used that little bit, and I chopped the beat up, and I must admit it was a little Kanye inspiration too at the time, because
Yeah.
I was listening to a lot of stuff that he was doing as well. So yeah, that's how I came up with it.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it was just so beautiful. I mean, like I told you before, for me at 17, I was a senior in high school. So the first time I heard that was actually, I would say in November, December-ish, my senior in high school. And when I heard it, I
Hmm.
immediately fell in love with it. I was like, I don't know what it is about this track. It's beautiful. The way you did the instrumentation, the Curtis Mayfield, and he sounded so modern with that time. And it was so crazy because the way you did it so beautifully with her voice and her sound and the dozen roses, it just was like they were kind of talking to each other in some type of way. You get what I'm saying? And
And one of the thing is that made me realize that it was official. I made it because I don't, because everybody know me. I don't like. I'm a real
uh,
even kill kind of person. Like it takes. I don't get excited a whole lot, what
yeah.
have you. But one of the things that one of the events that happened that made me
Hmm.
realize that I arrived was when a friend of mine called me up from Miami. She was
Hmm.
out on vacation. She called me up from Miami, and the song was playing on the radio. She was like, "Yo,"
Oh.
you know, and so that's what kind of made me, realize that it was like, yeah, it's official. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh.
because she was like, I heard the song on the radio about 10 times already.
Mm.
So,
Wow.
yeah. So, and then I, heard it myself on the radio. So
Hmm.
it was, it feels good to hear your stuff on the radio, and you have your friends and
Yeah.
family members call you up and be like, "Yo, I'm hearing your song on the radio." Same thing with Seven Sons. I mean,
Yeah.
um, we had a record that went top 5 in the country, so
Mm. Mm-mm-mm.
it was at radio faithfully. So
Yeah.
it's a good
Yeah.
feeling to hear your music on the radio.
Yeah, I mean, for us in high school to be playing that myself, and for me to put it as my MySpace headline for my first boyfriend, I was like, oh my God, this means a lot to me. So, I mean, at the time when I heard Monica, it put her at a lane, where she was really trying to, become, I guess, her own self because, we knew Monica at the age of 13. So,
Mhm.
being in 95 to 2011, that was like a huge change for her at that time. And I feel like, when you did A Dozen Roses for her, we got to see Monica's sensual soft side. You know what I'm saying? A beautiful record that is loving her man or just wants to show him that she reminds him of something. You know what I'm saying? And, that you did that
Mhm.
something for her that was really, very gratifying at the time. Like, we had like, the Crunk and B era at the time, that was really huge, that was breaking through. But Monica, she did every time the
Yeah.
beat drop. It was cool. But when A Dozen Roses comes on, everybody goes crazy. I'm like, wait a minute. This is just a ballad that was just something that just took us to a lane, but not even that. She fit with Curtis Mayfield. And that is just an icon legend in its own right. And for you to do that and make it so beautifully, instrumental in her career, I thought it was just so dope. And I'm super, super proud of you because
Yeah.
I love that song. It was dedicated to my first boyfriend. So, I mean,
Wow.
you all in my life. So,
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yeah. I kind of wish that it was the first single, because I mean, it's
Agreed.
it's definitely overrated. I mean, underrated, I
Very
should say. And I kind of wish that
underrated
was
to
the
be
first thing.
overrated.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I remember when Daryl let us hear what Missy did to it, and
Hmm.
it was like I was like, wow, this is
Hmm.
incredible. It's a hit, I
Mm.
mean, it was Missy. Come on, like
Come
Missy's
on,
like,
right? You got Missy Elliott, the icon, forever in your book.
yeah, right. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's so dope.
yeah.
Well, Dave, I wanted to let you know too. I don't know if you know this because I know Versus actually when Brandy and Monica did their little battle, which was so
Hmm.
dope. Well, I don't call it a battle; I call it a celebration of just music and hits for what they did. Your song was on Billboard's category for their article last year. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't.
Yes, she did.
I
So,
watched the verses. I
uh
watched
huh.
it, and that was another moment. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
always humble. I have songs been that played on the radio, so I'm always humbled.
Yeah.
By moments, and I was very humbled in that
Hmm.
moment. When I
Um.
heard it on the verses, definitely. I
Yeah.
mean, I was like, yo, I did that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't
Well,
know. I didn't know about the Billboard piece. No, I didn't.
yes. So
Yeah.
they had a Billboard piece where they did a overall scorecard of the versus mini thing, and I want to read this to you because your song was round two after they started the verses, and they pretty
Mhm.
much said this about a dozen roses. So I want to read this verbatim just to make sure because I want to let you know how big this song was, but not even that for Billboard to keep a scorecard and who they picked. I want to let you know this. So they said Monica
Okay.
effortlessly praises Brandy for her unmatched tone before getting back into her songwriting bag. The Dulce, which is the sweet, soothing track, what they call your song, A Dozen Roses. With Missy and
Mhm.
Tal, Monica proves why she is the hip hop luminary with such a superb tandem in the 2000s. And when they did that, they picked your song to beat Brandy's song. So how do you feel about
Wow.
that? I'm kind of upset
Man, I
because I'm a
mean,
Brandy fan. So,
and it's
but
like Brandy has some hits. I'm a Brandy fan. How about
right,
that?
okay. But
So,
how did you feel that Billboard picked your song?
man, I mean, I didn't know this. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
humbled. I'm humbled. I mean, no words can describe,
Mm-hmm.
many years later, I'm still humbled. You know what I mean? Like,
Um.
yeah, I didn't know this. And so, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I always knew it was a great record, even when I heard the playback of it. And of course, Monica is always, a top tier artist to me. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
um, so yeah, I'm just humbled, man. There's no way,
Mm-hmm.
no other words to describe it.
Yeah.
Uh, I feel blessed, to know
Yeah.
that I'm a part of, a big record,
Mm-hmm.
and with a big artist, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought that was really poignant because for Billboard to say that about your song, but not even that track was so soothing and sweet. I agree with them 100% because that was a record that was really big for her at the time that I felt. But not even just that for Billboard to say that about your record, that goes to show you're in history books. You know what I'm saying? And not
yeah,
even that for that song alone right there. That record right there, Monica, I feel like it's one of her best ballads. I said in my my Insta story today, I said that's actually the best song off the album to me, personally, my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah.
But it goes to show you that at the end of the day, your legacy means something, and
I
your sound
appreciate
means something. Oh, no
I
problem. And your
appreciate that.
sound means something. I mean, for you to come in a time where rap was a huge dominating thing, but for you to give Monica that lane to she can be who she wants to be, but an R&B ballad is who Monica also is too. And
Yeah,
so I definitely had to tell you that because I was like, wait a minute, Dave needs to know this and let him know that put that on your resume that Billboard said you were top tier, your music was top tier. So I wanted to share that with you. So how do you feel alone with the reaction when Monica's album did go number one and it did hit number 8 on the charts? It did have it was a moderate success. It wasn't big what we thought it was going to be, but how do you feel
mhm.
that it's like a cult classic to our culture? But not that, how do you feel that people still gravitate to a dozen roses?
It's like again, I'm always going back. You gonna always hear me say I'm humble because I am. I truly am.
Um,
I don't have like
yeah.
I just I want to definitely want to keep creating more and more and
Mm-hmm.
more and just the other people that were a part of it. I mean, of course, like Missy, made it happen with the record,
Yeah.
with respect to her writing and vocal production and producing, just Monica in general on the record. And then, just for, just to be a part of that,
Right.
I'm humble, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have any other words to describe it. I never really, sometimes I don't really follow the successes of records that I've worked on because
Yeah.
I don't like to get into a headspace where I just like to just keep it going. I don't like to get in
Yeah.
headspace. But someone told me here recently, Dave, you guys sometimes sit back and enjoy your the things that you've done. So I'm actually starting to really learn that and
Yeah.
to really get in that because for me, it's like I'm always wanting to do more and get better. Like I don't ever want to feel like complacent, but I'm learning or have learned here, lately that you do have to celebrate your successes because it also helps drive you to do more, as
Right.
well. So it's like work hard, play hard, you know what I mean, kind of thing,
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, you're forever tied to me because for me to dedicate that to my first love, I mean, I had no choice at that time. So for me to even think about Love Ballads, and that was like the number one song I put on my, social media platform when I was young, it
Mhm.
goes to show you that, a young girl myself who wants to learn and, about love and listening to that record, it was just really a moving love song that I really, true and cherish to this day. Even though me and my ex are no longer together, but music, stands a moment in time and it gives you memories. And
Yeah.
so off
And
of
and
that,
that, and
I'm
if
super
it does
proud.
that for you, that's even a bigger feeling for me because
Um,
one thing about creating, once it goes out, it's like I'm humbled by it because I still can't believe I actually created that. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
Because it was a moment. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
remember I do remember when I first sat down and actually
Mm-hmm.
created the record.
Mm-hmm.
And thereafter it's just like, a bliss because it's like, the way it came about, the way it happened. And so
Right.
I feel like as a creator, once you create it, that, and as God gives it to you, it really doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the world. And
Right.
so, if you felt that way from the record, it did
Mm-hmm.
what it was supposed to do. You know what I mean? And,
Mm-hmm.
did it go multi-platinum? No, it didn't. But a lot of people, every time I tell people I did that record, they're like, "Oh, you did that record? You did that record?" And so obviously, a lot of people heard that record. You know what I'm saying?
Come
So
on, okay.
yeah. So I'm just again honored, and blessed,
Mm-hmm.
and it did what it was supposed to do, and hopefully it will continue to, because that's the beauty about music. It continues to have a life of its own,
Yeah.
and continue to, somebody might come back, maybe this year, next year, years
Mm-hmm.
down the road and resample that actual record. You know what I mean? So,
Exactly. And
yeah.
and look and look, you
So,
got platinum. You had 1.1 million people that tuned in on that doggone verses. So you went platinum on that. You take it back. So for that alone right
yeah.
there, I mean, and not even that. I remember at the time too when they did do the verses, everything went right back and all the songs went up on streaming. They went off back on the charts. So like I
Yeah,
said,
it did.
regardless of what I think a lot of people would, plaques and stuff like that, but I feel like if the culture loves a song, you made an impact. So it doesn't matter if it, hits platinum or not. The thing is, I think when
Yeah.
you touch people's lives like myself and, everybody years later, I mean, 15 years later, we're still talking about it. I mean, recently, I don't know if you had seen it, every time the beat drops, became a TikTok sensation again. So you get what I'm saying? Like the song came
Wow.
back. Yeah.
That's
And I'm
music.
just, the power of music, but not even just that.
Yeah.
Like I said, one day, and not even just one day, sooner or later, somebody's gonna break up a dozen roses. I mean, today I had almost 400 views even posting your song. I said, these people love this song. There's something about
Yeah, they
Curtis
do.
Mayfield and Monica. The way you
They
did
do.
that so beautifully, the sound of everything. It was just like, wow, you can really take the past and the present and make it into something, and join it together to make it a hit. So I love
Yeah.
it for what it did. Like I told you, it's one of my love songs growing up. So I had no
Yeah.
choice at the time.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's what's
so
up.
dope, Mr. Dave. I'm super proud. But I had to let you know that for sure, just to give you your flowers for that. So I got another question to ask you.
Yeah.
So since you are like a little kingmaker of hits, I want to ask you, Mr. Lindsey, what is the key to making a hit record? And if you know that, what is your favorite hit from your catalog?
That's a good question. I think one of the keys to a hit is simplicity.
Mm.
Simplicity. Keep it simple. You know what I mean? If it's simple and it touches and it hits some people in the
Yeah.
heart. You know what I mean? Then to me, it's a hit. Um, no other way to describe it. I mean, of course, we all, in music always say if you have a catchy hook, you know what I mean,
Yep.
then, you pretty much are good to go. But I'm a melody driven guy. And so I just love, melodies. I love them hard 808s and, the boom
Mm.
clap kind of thing. But it's keeping it simple, keeping it,
Yeah.
simple and straight to the point, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And make sure that it got a lot of emotion to it, you know what I mean? Whether it's high
Yeah.
energy emotion, whether it's sad emotion, because that's what music strikes the emotion. It's supposed to strike the emotion. And if it doesn't strike the emotion, then to me, it's not a hit, you know what I mean?
Come on.
So,
Ooh, let
yeah,
them know, Mr. Lindsey. Let them know. Strike the
yeah,
emotion. Yes.
yeah, yeah. So it got to strike an emotion.
Yeah.
So out of my catalog right now, I would say, if you go back and listen to
Mm-hmm.
Tracy's last album, Tracy Bratt's
I, w-
last
but I
album,
like that song. I like
yeah,
that song.
it
Yeah.
was, it was a song. There's a couple of songs on there that I think was cool. It was a song on there called "Boy Bye,"
Mm-hmm.
and the other song was shoot, I'm drawing a blank. Hmm,
I like the last call.
I,
I don't
I
get.
just drew a blank.
I like the last call.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I really remember when because I'm a huge like Braxton family. Like don't tell nobody. I love them. But
Mhm.
I think that's so dope. But I love the last call. I like the beat. I remember watching it in the video and stuff. I mean, you had the legend Tony Braxton on your like. It was just really dope. And I feel like that was a really good first record for her at the time when she was coming back. Like the last call, we needed those little R&B records. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, you
Mhm.
can fit with any time. Like you said, and I
Mhm.
love how you talked about 808s. Like nobody doesn't talk about 808s anymore, which is so crazy to me. But
Mhm.
for that alone right there, I feel like you said, strike the emotion means a lot in music. Because you got to hit
Mhm.
somewhere to make it connect.
Absolutely, absolutely. And another um, couple of songs in my catalog that I would say are hits. Well, I'll go to Seven Sons, song that we did called "Praying for You" and
Mm-hmm.
"Run On." Those were hits for us.
Mm.
But and I did those records. But currently, I worked with Candace from Real
I seen
Housewives of Potomac.
that.
And I think the two songs that I love that I did with her is a song called "Is It Enough"
Mm-hmm.
and "Stay with Me,"
Mm-hmm.
featuring Tracy Braxton.
Mm.
Uh, I think those two are my favorites from off of her
Oh.
album. Besides the two that she already released, and I think "Is
Mm-hmm.
It Enough." I think "Is It Enough" is about to be her third single. So
Wow.
yeah, you need to check out that record.
Oh, I see
Um,
she been making some waves. I see she been hitting the charts. I seen her little post. I said, wow. I said, you know what? Wow, Dave really did something for Candace. And I'm super proud because I seen her, every now and then, but I didn't know she could really sing like that. I'm like, she's dope.
yeah. It's what's crazy is I my first time meeting her was when I
Mm-hmm.
worked with her in the studio, so I really wasn't
Mm-hmm.
privy to all the past stuff with
Yeah.
Real Housewives of Potomac,
Yeah.
but the narrative that was out there on her that she can't sing is just like bogus. I'm telling you, it's bogus.
She can
That
sing.
girl. that girl works hard, you know what I mean? And
So,
she's a hard worker. She go after it in the studio. She play no games, you know what I mean?
mm,
She go after it, and she writes, and and I think that it's only up, you know, the
yeah,
more she keeps at it, I think it's only uphill for her because
yeah,
she really works, you know what I mean? So
mm,
I really didn't get the whole narrative that because because when I was telling people I was working with her, they was saying stuff, and I'm
yeah.
like, I work with her, so I don't get that, you know
All
what I
right.
mean? Like, and I don't brag on myself a lot, but I would say I'm a musician, and I know a
Come on.
singer, and I know, they
They
try
better
to say
check
the
them
same thing
records.
about, they try to say the same thing about Tracy, but the thing about it is,
Tracy can
they
sing.
exactly, like when
Tracy
she
can
come
sing.
from a family, that does, and she goes after it too. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
she knows her stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, everybody, is entitled to their opinion. I mean,
True.
so but I mean, I've gotten a chance to work with both of them, and I think
Hmm.
I think they're dope.
Mm.
But who am I? I mean,
A legend. A
that's what I
legend.
always say. Who am I?
A legend, a legend, a legend that
Well,
deserves
I
his flowers
appreciate it.
because I don't care what nobody says for what you've done for these women in general. You have, made the sound for the records for them to showcase their voice. And like I said, I've heard Tracy Brown. She can sing. I know for a fact she can sing because when her and
Yeah,
her sister sing God put a rainbow in the sky, that makes me cry in a heartbeat. I know that song from top to bottom just because of them. And I feel like,
and
when
she
people
knows her
don't.
music. She knows her
Yes,
music. And
Tracy knows
she
her
knows how to feel it. Yeah,
music.
yeah,
Don't sleep on Tracy. I be telling folks, don't sleep on the ones you think that don't.
yeah.
They know everything
That's
that
what
you
I'm trying
know.
to say. That's what I'm
Right.
trying to say. Yeah.
Right. And
So
and like I said, Mr. Dave, you got the credentials, so nobody can tell you nothing after all that line of notes and all the history and accolades I seen. I said, I wouldn't play with him if I want to. So you
yeah,
got the person to
I
say all
appreciate it,
that. Yeah,
man. I
definitely.
appreciate it.
Like I said, the facts speak for itself. So I can't sit up on my platform, and I know I've seen your line of work, especially through movies and being on music videos like Monica and Tracy Braxton and all these other people that have really make a contribution for their legacy in their industry. But not even that, you have made contributions. You know what I'm saying? And you brung a sound, and that's why I tell a lot of the producers who I brung on my platform that your sound really changes everything because, like I said, somebody had to be influenced by somebody. But
Hmm.
not even that alone, like, the sound for what you did in 2006. I mean, y'all were competing with Sierra. Sierra was making way. Like, Atlanta was really making a breakaway through. And I started thinking, too, when we were talking, I said, wow, I remember A Dozen Roses. It was a huge record. Sierra Promise was a huge record. Like, y'all
Yeah,
literally were bringing slow R&B jams in
yeah,
2006 and killing the R&B charts. I was like, wow. And I had to
yeah,
sit there and, like, people think that, rap, it's really a big dominating genre now. But back
yeah.
then, you can make a ballad and make it a hit. And A Dozen Roses, it was a hit, especially a cult classic for a lot of us that grew up, listening to Monica, and I think it was dope at the time for her.
Yeah. Especially those kind of ballads. You don't hear those kind of ballads anymore.
No.
Yeah,
No.
yeah,
So
yeah.
by the grace of God, we got that in 2006 and we got that and, we still love it to this day. So proud of you for
Yeah.
that. So I want to
Thank you.
ask you, this may be hard for you, Mr. Dave, but, don't kill me. Don't kill me. So if you
Hmm.
had to pick one thing that you would like to do, is it composing, songwriting, or producing?
Hmm. I would say producing. Um,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay. Wow.
yeah, I would say producing.
Okay.
Because producing is not just being a beat maker. It's about
Mm.
seeing a whole project all the way through. You know what I
All
mean?
right.
From beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
Working with the writers, working with even engineers, mix engineers.
Yeah.
It's not just about making the beat. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
about like really making a song. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
if you know how to make a song, then you, to me, are a producer.
Come on.
And that's an element of producer, like seeing it all the way through from the conception of it, the actual creation of it, even if it is making the beat,
Yeah.
and then you know working with the songwriters and in terms of, structuring the song, arrangement of the song,
Yeah.
and then, working with even the recording engineers
Hmm.
about which mic to use. I'm a recording engineer myself, so most of
Right.
the time producing, I am recording, the artists that I'm working with. But to make sure levels and stuff are perfect, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
my job as the producer, when it hits the mix engineer's desk, that it should be, sound quality, sonic wise,
Come on.
perfect. You know what I mean? And all they doing is just putting the final touches to it, as
Yeah.
far as blending and maybe adding a little bit of their flair to it to
Right.
kind of bring it even more to life. You know what I mean? So,
Mm.
and a producer, a true producer to me is a part of that whole process.
Come on.
You
You
know,
didn't explain more about producing than I know, because I never knew that.
yeah, saying it all. That's what the great ones do. You know what I mean? That's what the great ones do. So,
Come
I
on.
mean, I know, we're in the era of, most of your producers sell their beats online and
Yeah.
et cetera, and that's how they make their living. But I mean, when I first started out, my first check was for 25,000.
Oh God, look, that's a lot
So
of money. Look.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So,
Mm.
yeah, I mean, so that's a job of a real producer to me, and so I
Mm.
enjoy producing. I enjoy seeing the elements,
Hmm.
all the elements, because I can do it. I can do the composing, I can do the songwriting,
Right.
um, but producing encompasses pretty much all of those elements together and
Right.
bringing it to life. So that's what I enjoy.
Right, right. I think that is just super dope because like I tell people all the time, producers. I did this on one of my interviews with a producer named Antoine Van McCone. He did Nelly's song "Dilemma," which was huge.
Okay.
And I remember at
Yeah.
the time I told him, I said with music, especially with producers, I said something about y'all with y'all. Every time y'all produce something about the sound touches the soul. And so for
Yeah.
me, it's like when you hear that sound, it can hit your heart. And I'm like, wow, this is something that can really make you just really feel it. And with
Hmm.
that, I love how you said the transition and the process, because a lot of us don't think, how it goes when it comes down producing. There's so much that goes with engineering and mixing and, breaking down the elements to making a creation of a sound. And I used to always sit back and think, oh, they're just making something. I'm like, nah, it takes work and dedication. I'm like, how do y'all do it? I could not be a producer. I can't
Yeah.
do no songwriting. But my thing is this, the hard work and dedication of what y'all put in your craft really makes
Mhm.
it really known for a lot of us. And I think that's why people are so enamored of A Dozen Roses, because something with the sound, it sounded like a love song. You can tell it sounded love. It sounded so, drawn in. It sounded dreamy. It sounded just like you can just feel like you're in a daze, but a beautiful daze, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So with
Yeah.
that, I'm like, wow, A Dozen Roses, you can really truly fall in love. And that's why I have to give you so much respect and give you the honor, to show you that A Dozen Roses is a gem. I've had gotten a lot of comments. If you look at the comments today, people have talked about this is like their favorite song, in their opinion, the best
Wow.
song off the album. But for you alone right there, you did something to make a sound for Monica. And I feel like Monica, she loves it to this day too. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
she
Well, she
does.
said on Versus it's one of her favorite songs. So even
Wow.
after
Yeah. Yeah.
even
Because I
after
mean,
all these years, that
uh,
she said that's one of her favorite songs.
she
Yeah.
did. So since today is the 15th anniversary of this beautiful, timeless album, The Makers of Me, even though this is my number one favorite song, but I do like
Mhm.
Getaway. That was one of my second favorites. PJ Morton was really dope. He did that. I mean, it was a lot of beautiful records like Sideline Host, excuse me.
Mhm.
That was a little
Yeah.
controversy with that, but it
Hmm.
was so
But
hilarious.
I think that
And
was what the
Tank and
third
that.
single, I believe.
Yeah, it was.
Sideline
It was a
Hope was
third
the third
single.
single. Yeah.
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 But everybody, we love A Dozen Roses. I think everybody, that's our number one. So for a
Yeah.
lot of us.
I
But if
appreciate it.
no problem. But if you had to describe one word about this timeless album of Monica's The Makers of Me, what one word would you describe it?
Overlooked. I mean,
Oh,
it was
yeah,
overlooked. You know what I mean? Like,
very.
like you said, there was some gems on there. Um, and to what you said, I think maybe the timing, because that's the other piece to music. Sometimes the actual release of a project can kind of make a good project be,
Yeah.
lost in the wind, and
Mm.
because like you said, there were other um, records at the time, or other artists out that was like,
Yeah.
out at the time, and so um,
Beyonce,
I
Latoya
almost
Lucky.
kind of wish
Yeah.
that A Dozen Roses was released first, because it was,
Agreed.
every time a beat drop was a good record, because as it is, it's making headway now,
Yeah.
due to TikTok. But sometimes when records, um, I felt that record should have been first, because it was
Agreed.
like it was a stronger record at the time. You know what I mean?
And that's who
And
Monica was.
yeah,
That's who
yeah, it was
Monica
a
was. She
stronger
was a
record at the
balladeer.
time. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that would have caught on quick. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because this music game I'm seeing is it's all about momentum. You know what I mean? Like if you,
Come on.
it's actually like being in the game. You know what I mean? Once you get momentum, you got to strike. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so so
Yeah.
I think it's it's a it's a heck of a project. I just think it
Hmm.
got overlooked at the time. I'm glad that it's resurfacing, and people
Hmm.
like you are bringing it to light to say,
Hmm.
like, yo, like this project was slept on. This project needs its
Very.
flowers. It needs to be understood how great of a project it was. And so
It
you
does.
know, it,
Hmm.
so thank you, and those like
Oh.
you who are bringing it to light,
Hmm.
because without you guys, it probably would still be, lost in the shuffle a little. But it's
Yeah.
people like you that are like bringing it to light and sharing that, this was a heck of a project, of which
Hmm.
I agree it was and still
Yeah.
is a heck of a project. And I think that that's the only thing I could say about it. It was
Hmm.
overlooked, but
Mm.
it will not be denied. Good music
Okay,
cannot
look.
good
Delayed
music
but not
cannot be
denied.
denied. Yeah, delayed but
Yeah.
not denied. Exactly.
Come on. And I agree.
Exactly.
I agree with you 100%. And that's why me and my friend JR, he's not on live today, but he had me cracking up. We were talking about this and we were saying that we felt A Dozen Roses should have been the first single as well. Being at the time, like you said, with Sierra coming out with Promise, even though she was known for, dance stuff like that. We're not saying Monica's not known for that, but we're known for Monica for being a black balladeer type of girl. She had first records like So Gone. She had
Hmm.
Before You Walk Out My Life. These are songs that really kind of set Monica a tone for her career at the time. Like I said, she sung these songs when she was 12 years old. Well, she got to start when she was 12. So
Yeah.
for this alone right there, you want to bring your artists like the same kind of formula, but as
Hmm.
time goes on, they're getting older. And I think Monica, at the time, she had just had her son. I think she's getting ready to have her second son. Monica was a new mother. And, she was at a time in her life, I know she was in a relationship. And, she was kind of going through, the metamorphosis of being a young woman in her 20s. And with this record right here, A Dozen Roses, this was like very relatable to love. And not even that, we're getting to learn about the adult Monica versus the teenage Monica.
Hmm.
And looking back at this, I felt like, A Dozen Roses was the record that really could have pushed the album, across the board. You know what I'm saying? Even though it
Oh
did
yeah.
go to number one, but I think it could have stayed in the top 10 for a minute
Oh yeah.
because you had Sierra Promise, you had Latoya Lucky Torn. Like, these were women that were coming out with ballads that were hitting big. And
Right.
for long right there, I felt like A Dozen Roses was that record because that's like everybody's favorite song off the album. It even shocked me myself because I knew I
Hmm.
loved it, but the
Yeah.
reaction I put on the post today for people to still say this album is underrated. This album should have been bigger than what it was in 2006. I mean, I agree 100%, but I feel like at the end of the day, you have to know your artist, but not even that.
Hmm.
You have to make them be who they are because if you make them something, it's not going to connect. But
Hmm.
regardless of that, this is a great gem. Like I said, it's underrated in my personal opinion. But at the
Hmm.
same time, is Dave, you put Monica at a lane to it can still have a push, and I feel like A Dozen Roses was that record. It was the number one record to me, in my personal opinion, that was really dope for Monica. So
Matt,
super
like I
proud.
said, I'm just so honored to have played a part in it. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely give credit to where it's due. Like,
With
definitely
Missy.
Missy did her
Mm-hmm.
thing with that, you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just glad I was a part of it, in terms of, creating the beat, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Creating the the elements and creating the
Hmm.
everything that's involved with that
Yeah.
beat. You know what I'm saying? I'm just
Yeah.
grateful and thankful to be a part of it. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
play my part.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
It
yeah.
it hurt me. It hurt me. You beat Brandy, but I'm good with that. Okay. But it's cool. It's cool. I love the record. Like I said, it meant a lot to me in my life. So it goes to show you right there how you have for everybody else. So I want to ask you now, since we are in the current era of 2021, Mr. Lindsey, what kind
Mhm.
of current projects you got going on right now? What's going on with your gospel group, Sons of Seven Sons of Soul? Like, how are y'all doing? What's going on with your new projects that you got coming up now?
We got some stuff in the can.
Mm-hmm.
With in particular, I'm just gonna let it out the bag. I mean, with
Oh,
one particular artist and who we worked with here recently. We call him the Skating Bishop, Bishop Olds. I don't know if you've seen the Skating Bishop,
mm-mm.
but yeah, he's like real popular on social media right now. But
Okay.
he actually did a record. We did a record with him called Power. Hopefully, we'll be releasing that soon.
Mm-hmm.
But my current projects, of course, I mentioned Candace.
Yeah.
Go get that project. You won't be disappointed. She had Anita Baker shouted her out with the project.
What? Come on
Yeah,
now. See,
yeah,
legends,
yeah. So
bigging up legends. Look, okay.
yeah, yeah. So
That's dope.
she got her project out. It's called
Mm-hmm.
Deep Space. So
Yeah.
go check that project out. And of course, Soul World got their own artists. I'm my own artist too. I do like um, um, lo-fi beats and
Okay.
kind of like meditative music as well. So under the alias Felix Wonder, that's my alias Felix Wonder,
Oh, okay.
Phelis Wonder.
Okay.
Uh, and so that's my alias artist name, and of which I go on and create like instrumentals.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's pretty much what I'm working on now. But I'm also get ready, that I'm not going to disclose yet.
Oh,
Working on some mainstream artists here.
that's dope.
Yeah, I'm not going to disclose yet. Who I'm working.
Look, I don't like. Look, keep that in your pocket because at the
Yeah,
end of the day, we don't want nothing.
sometimes you gotta, and I've heard this a lot about me, and it's true about
Mm-hmm.
me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I like to, I don't like bragging. So
Yeah.
when that time comes, you'll know because it's there. But yeah, I'm definitely working on some artists to come.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um, yeah,
Oh,
I'm gonna leave it at
awesome.
that.
Well, like I said, at the end of the day, I respect that because at the end of the day, it goes to show you that, like I said, you are still doing your thing. You are still producing. You are still, in your game in music, in R&B, and whatever genre, gospel, and all the stuff that you created and laid a foundation for yourself, and everything that you have done. So I have one more question. I have you. I want to ask you: do you have any advice for people who are trying to get into the industry like you have, or what kind of, I guess I would say this. What kind of advice, or not even that, what do you want to tell people on how to prepare yourself if they want to be in the industry?
Two things.
Mm,
One, don't ever give up. You
mm.
know, work your tail off. You know what I'm saying?
Come on.
And the second thing is learn the business. You know what I mean? Learn the business. Because when you learn the business, you make your travel that much easy.
Yeah,
Um, and don't be afraid. I guess the third thing is don't be afraid to make mistakes. You know what I mean?
that's right.
Uh,
Hmm.
because that's one of the only ways you're going to learn.
Right.
And then you know, like when I created A Dozen Roses,
Hmm.
that was a record that was sitting, like I said, for like 2.5 years.
Mm.
You know what I mean? But don't ever think that something that you created today will not be used later on down the road. You know what I
Come
mean?
on.
Because because it can happen. And,
Yeah.
and with the sound of music, what you created for today might be in style 3-4 years down the road. You know what I mean? Literally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've heard of stories where, people had records that they've been sitting on for like 10 years and,
Mm-hmm.
and they got placed. You know what I mean? So,
Wow. Mm.
yeah. So don't ever think, that it's over,
Yeah.
just keep grinding. And if you really love it, know what you're getting into and
That's
know
right.
the business, you know what I mean? And study it,
Yeah.
um, and don't be afraid to make the mistakes.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Thank you so much, Mr. Lindsay. I truly, truly appreciate it. And like I said, A Dozen Roses is my forever classic, my forever first love song. So
Hmm.
for me to you, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I mean, you have brought me so much light and joy and just want to honor your legacy and the flowers of what you've done for not only, for Monica, but for yourself. And,
Thank you.
everything you've done for yourself. I mean, for it to be in Billboard, for you to be in Billboard, your music. I mean, it goes to show you that your legacy is really impactful. Not even that, it has created a huge culture for all of us, and that are trying to be up and coming artists or up and coming, people that want to make their way in the industry. But learning for yourself of what you did to be dedicated and stay true to yourself is what that means to be in the industry. So I have to definitely give you your flowers, Mr. Lindsay.
I
Congratulations
appreciate
on
it. I appreciate it. And
everything.
like I told you earlier, I mean, sometimes I used to be so humble where, moments like
Uh-huh.
these, it used to be hard for me to accept, but I'm learning that, it's important to accept those,
Yeah.
flowers and the congratulations,
Yeah.
and so forth, because uh, that's also a motivation too. You know what I mean? That's also a motivation.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. And hopefully, I can give the world more dozen roses.
Come.
Um,
Oh, that
you know
I
what I'm
can end it
saying?
right there. I'm done with you. Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully, I could give the world more dozen
um.
roses. And that's
Yes.
that's that's my approach. You know what I mean?
Um.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Miss Lindsay. Yes, I definitely have to do that to make sure. I definitely have to gloat on my guests who come in because for what you did for not only for me in general, because I always have a relatable story to all the artists that come on my platform or songwriters or producers who come on my platform because you play a huge role in my life. But to go to show you that you played a huge role in other people's life, for the comments I have when I drop the videos, it's just really overwhelming because it's like, wow, I'm not only the person impact, but you have impacted so many other people. And your flowers, like somebody said, your flowers are truly well deserved, and you will definitely forever be on my platform. And I thank you so much for making Monica this beautiful classic that we love, that we admire, that hit a 1.2 million people last year during the pandemic because we really needed that at the time. And I
Yeah.
just want to respect you for everything. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. But I wanted to ask you, do you have
Man,
any
to
last
God be
words
the
before?
glory.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm honored. I'm honored. I,
um.
I remember as we were talking, I remembered the
Uh huh.
record that we were talking about that I thought was, a
Which
hit on
one?
Tracy.
Uh huh.
Dang, I just drew a blank again.
Oh
Um, the record is
no. Uh huh.
White Noise. White Noise is the
Okay. White
record.
noise.
Yeah,
Okay.
White Noise. That's like one of my favorite records I've
Mm-hmm.
ever done. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a big record, I think. Yeah.
But like I said, I'm gonna have to go back and listen to Tracy's catalog because, like I said, I like Last Call. Last Call, I guess that's just me because it was the first single at the time. But like I said, Mr. Dave, I'm super proud of you and thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And everything that you have done, God bless you, you and your family, and just everything you're doing, and keep being successful in your career, and keep on making us some timeless hits because we ready for that new music, sir, for 2022. This year's almost out, so you got to come with some new stuff, okay?
Yep. Got you covered. And
All
look,
right.
keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing.
Oh,
And like I said, I'm loving the growth that is happening with you. You're doing your thing.
oh, thank
And
you.
I'm glad to be a part of it. When you blow
Mhm.
up, please remember me.
Oh,
you
sir,
know,
I got you.
'cause-
Well, wait a minute. I do remember you because you remember last year I hit you up and I asked you. I said,
yes,
"When
you did.
Monica's Making It a Me album come out last year, 2020, when it
Yes, you
make
did.
15 years," I said, "I'm
You
going to
did.
get you for an interview." And 1 year later, what happened? I made my promise.
You
So I
did.
never forget
You
my
did.
people.
You
I
did.
don't. Nah,
You did.
I can't do
You did. You
that.
did.
But
And
thank you so. Oh,
yeah,
go ahead.
since likewise, same success for you,
Oh,
and your endeavors, and keep it up, and do you, don't give
oh.
up, You know what I'm saying? I'm just honored that you, consider me to, be a part of this and be a
Oh,
part of the
another
celebration.
hostess was
I
going.
didn't even know it was the 15th anniversary. I mean, all that stuff like that. I mean, you are a true history buff,
I
with
don't
this
play that.
record. So, I
Look, I don't
mean,
play that
you
Monica Pete.
listen, you've educated me on the Dutch and Roses, and I was a
Well,
part
look,
of the record. Like
look, we
you
educate each other.
educated me on my own record, so so
Well, look, for Billboard to say that I had to educate myself, I was like shocked because I really thought, like I told you, was going to beat the record. They said no, Monica. I said, oh, you're right. They right.
yeah,
I was like, you know what? Looking back, I said, yeah, there was a better record. It was no
yeah.
shame.
So
I
so
love
I
both of them.
thank you. I thank you for
Oh,
educating me,
yes,
and
sir.
educating everybody else. So
Yes, sir.
yeah,
And I seen
so
today
good.
your peers before we do, and I did want to shout out your peers in the industry. Jermaine Dupri, Brian Michael Cox, PJ Morton, they all been kind of reposting about the album and everything. So they really
Oh,
been
that's what's
bigging it
up.
up. They really been
Yeah,
bigging it up. But like I said, the one I'm a big up is A Dozen Roses because that's gonna be my forever classic, my forever favorite. But not even that, you have did so much in the industry. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, Miss Lindsey.
thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Anytime.
Yeah,
So now, guys, we are
yeah.
done with my beautiful interview with the one and only, the songwriter, producer, and the engineer, the one and only Mr. Davey Boy Lindsey. God bless you from the bottom of my heart.
Peace,
Bye
y'all.
bye.
Bye.
Y'all be blessed. Y'all have a good one. Bye bye.